Think you felt cold before? Wait until you hear about these places. From frozen capitals to icy ghost towns, today we're diving into the coldest spots on Earth where people still live, somehow. Life in freezing darkness. Imagine living in a place where the sun disappears for months and temperatures drop to 40 DC. Welcome to Eureka. Not the sci-fi show, but the real Eureka in Canada. This tiny outpost is one of the coldest and most remote places in the world. Located above the Arctic Circle near the 80th parallel, it gets no sunlight for a third of the year. Can you even picture life without sunshine for that long? With just about 8 people living there at a time, Eureka isn't a real town. It's a frozen research station built back in 1947 for scientific studies, and it gets supplies only once every 3 weeks. Living in Eureka is not just cold, it's extreme. You can't stay outside for long or you risk serious injury. So, how do these scientists survive both the cold and the isolation? They stick together inside, using diesel generators to keep warm and stay busy. They play cards, watch movies, hit the gym, and support each other through the dark times. It's not easy, but they do it all in the name of science. Who knew some of the toughest people on Earth wear lab coats instead of capes? Greenland's giant ice sheet. Guess what? We're heading to Greenland, but don't let the name fool you. It's not green at all. In fact, it's covered by one of the largest ice sheets on Earth. That green name was a sneaky trick by the Vikings long ago. Today, about 80% of Greenland is buried under this massive frozen layer. For years, people avoided it because crossing it usually meant disaster. But now, some brave or maybe crazy adventurers actually go there on purpose, drawn by the challenge of surviving in one of the most extreme places on the planet. The Greenland ice sheet is more than just cold, it's endless, icy, and unforgiving. It's made from a single gigantic glacier, stretching across nearly the whole country. And while most of us would run the other way, some people can't resist the thrill. In fact, there's even a group of cyclists planning to cross the entire ice sheet in 2024. Sounds wild, right? If you ask me, trying to bike across an endless frozen desert might not be the brightest idea, but hey, at least we get to stay warm while watching their frozen adventure unfold. Russia's most miserable place. Have you ever heard of a place so miserable, even its mayor admits people lose hope every year? Welcome to Verkhoyansk, Russia, one of the coldest and most unforgiving places on Earth. With a population of just around 1,400, it's been called Stalin's death ring because this was where political prisoners were sent to suffer and often die. Before Stalin, even the Tsars used it as a place of exile. It's not just cold, it's painfully, soul-crushingly cold. And yet people still live here, surrounded by frozen land that has a tragic history behind every icy gust of wind. Now, imagine your home literally splitting in half, because that happens here too. The ground underneath is permafrost, and when it shifts, it can tear houses apart. That's the kind of place Verkhoyansk is. The harsh weather, the loneliness, and the long, dark winters take a heavy toll on its people. Some give up entirely, according to the town's own mayor. There are no sunny tourist ads or cozy cabins here, just a frozen, haunting reminder of Russia's darkest time. This isn't just cold, it's a place where survival is the only goal. Coldest city on Earth. Can you imagine a place so cold your eyelashes freeze? Welcome to the coldest city on Earth. Not in Antarctica, but deep in Siberia. This city is called Yakutsk, and in January 2023, it reached bone-shattering temperatures of 60 DEC. That's not just cold, it's dangerously cold. People living there risk getting frostbite in minutes if they step outside without the right gear. Even with years of experience handling brutal winters, locals had to take extra steps just to keep warm and stay safe. Homes are built on frozen ground using special concrete pillars because the earth is permanently frozen underneath. But why would anyone want to live in a frozen land like this? Here's the twist. Yakutsk has a booming mining industry, especially known for diamonds. Over 300,000 people live here, and the city is actually growing. Some people are even brave or crazy enough to visit for fun. Despite the freezing cold, locals are proud to say they survive here. For them, it's not just home, it's a badge of honor. For me, I think I'll stick to somewhere a little warmer. Cold life, strong spirits. With a name like Fort Good Hope, you'd expect a place full of warmth and optimism, but this tiny Canadian village is far from cozy. Located deep in the Northwest Territories, temperatures here regularly drop dozens of degrees below zero. Some even claim it's the coldest place in Canada. Despite the freezing weather and remote location, many people proudly call it home. Why? Because Fort Good Hope is more than just a dot on the map. It's a place where indigenous tribes have lived for centuries, surviving through strength, tradition, and deep connection to the land. You won't find big highways or easy routes into Fort Good Hope. To get there, you usually have to fly. It's that remote. But for those who live there, isolation is part of the beauty. It's a land of hunters, fishers, and people who know how to live off what nature gives. Multiple languages echo through the air, reflecting the rich cultural history of the region. So, is there truly good hope in Fort Good Hope? For those who endure, adapt, and thrive in the harshest conditions, the answer is yes. Hope is something they carry in their hearts. Life near the South Pole. We've saved one of the coldest places for last. Welcome to Antarctica, the coldest continent on Earth. Forget towns or cities, it's way too frozen for that. But deep within this icy land is Vostok Station, a Russian research base that's been standing strong since 1957. Unlike many stations located near the edge of Antarctica for easier access, Vostok sits way inland, just 1,300 km from the South Pole. Getting there isn't easy, and surviving there is even harder. During summer, around 30 scientists and engineers live and work at the station, but in winter, that number drops by half due to the extreme conditions. So why would anyone want to live there, even for a short time? Because Antarctica is full of secrets. Beneath its icy surface are ancient formations, rare species, and signs of climate change that scientists are eager to study. Just being able to measure how cold it gets and how that cold is changing is reason enough to stay. But Vostok Station is getting old, and though Russia has plans to replace it, those efforts have been delayed. Still, for now, this lonely outpost stands as one of the last frontiers for science on the coldest place on Earth. Coldest day in Canada? Get ready for a real chill, because we're heading to Snag, Yukon, the site of the coldest day in Canadian history. Back in 1947, temperatures here dropped to a shocking 63 DGHC. That's cold enough to freeze exposed skin in under 3 minutes. It was so dangerous that frostbite, hypothermia, and even death were serious risks just from stepping outside. But here's the twist, the freezing air came all the way from Siberia, as if that icy part of Russia decided to share its misery with Canada for fun. Now here's where it gets even weirder. It was so cold in Snag that sound traveled farther than usual. People could hear conversations from kilometers away, as if the air itself was made of glass. And while the scientists at the Snag weather station were busy surviving and recording this icy madness, they had their own joke. The nearest women were hundreds of kilometers away. Talk about frozen loneliness. Still, they kept their sense of humor while living through one of the coldest days ever recorded in North America. Coldest in the lower 48. Surprise! We're finally heading to the US, specifically Montana's Rogers Pass, one of the coldest places in the country. Named after surveyor A.B. Rogers in 1887, this mountain pass is now a winter wonderland for skiers and snow lovers. But don't let the beauty fool you. This place can get dangerously cold. In fact, back in 1954, temperatures dropped to a bone-chilling 70 DFF, making it the coldest temperature ever recorded in the lower 48 states. Thankfully, it's not always that cold. Today, Rogers Pass is a popular spot for snow sports and nature lovers. Nestled near the crown of the continent, it's a scenic place where winter fun meets extreme weather history. Just be smart, pack your warmest gear, and check the forecast, because while you might be skiing through powder one day, you could be stepping into a deep freeze the next. Frozen, Prospect Creek. We're heading back to Alaska, this time to a tiny icy spot called Prospect Creek. Located just north of Fairbanks, this former mining town isn't well known for gold anymore, but it is famous for its record-breaking cold. In January 1971, Prospect Creek reached a staggering 62 DGC, one of the coldest temperatures ever recorded in the US. Being inside the Arctic Circle means freezing conditions aren't just expected, they're a way of life here. Now here's the wild twist. While people can barely survive the cold, the local wildlife doesn't just survive, it thrives. Prospect Creek is home to many animals, including different types of bears, all adapted to the icy landscape. It's a strange place where nature continues to live strong even when the air is cold enough to freeze your breath in seconds. Cold, remote, and wild, Prospect Creek is a frozen corner of America that still holds nature's fierce spirit. Windy icebox capital. If someone tells you not to visit a place in winter, you might want to listen, especially when it comes to Nur-Sultan, the capital of Kazakhstan. This city may shine in the summer with its modern skyline and culture, but once winter arrives, it transforms into a frozen battlefield. Temperatures can dip below 50 DRC, making it one of the coldest capital cities in the world, second only to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. So that kind of cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. So, why does it get so cold here? One major reason is the land itself. Nur Sultan sits on flat, open terrain, making it easy for icy winds to sweep through without anything to block them. Add in a long winter season and you've got a recipe for bone-chilling weather. Despite the brutal cold, the city keeps growing and thriving, but if you're planning to visit, take a tip from the locals. Come during the summer and leave before the snow tries to freeze your soul. Frozen Fort Yukon. Back to the Yukon we go. And this time we're landing in Fort Yukon, a place where the cold isn't just part of life, it defines it. This remote area is known for its brutally long and dry winters, and some claim the temperature once dropped below 60 DEC. That may sound like a myth, but it's seriously debated, mainly because people argue over where the thermometer was placed. Yes, it's that cold and that serious. If you thought surviving in sub-zero weather was tough, imagine people arguing about just how frozen it really was. But the temperature isn't the only thing that makes Fort Yukon extreme. It's also incredibly hard to reach. You can only get there by boat or plane, which makes it feel like another world entirely. And honestly, the cold might be one reason it stayed so isolated. Still, people live there, survive there, and even thrive there in their own way. Just don't forget your thickest coat if you ever decide to visit, because Fort Yukon doesn't just chill, it freezes. Snow cave survival. You might think we'd end this journey in Antarctica, but nope. We're heading back to Greenland one last time, to a place right in the heart of the polar ice cap. Welcome to Iceland, a location so remote and icy that you'd think no human would ever dare step foot there. But back in 1930, a brave expedition did just that. And how did they survive the brutal sub-zero conditions? They dug a snow cave, yes, a literal cave in the snow to live in, and then carved out a 15-meter deep pit by hand to study the snow layers and the frozen secrets below. It's wild to think about people choosing to live and work in places where temperatures never rise above freezing. But time and time again, explorers, researchers, and even locals prove that human resilience is stronger than the cold. That wraps up our journey through the coldest places on Earth. So what location chilled you to the bone just by hearing about it? Was it a frozen capital, a snowbound town, or a lonely icy outpost? And that's it for the coldest places on Earth. Which one gave you chills just hearing about it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more cool stories.